There's a lot of talk about AI agents, and while agents are a very exciting potential for the future, in my opinion, they're not quite there yet. However, if you execute AI automation correctly, you can do what we just did for this customer, which is we built a fully automated end-to-end sales automation tool. And this tool drove over $100,000 in revenue in the first month of them using it. And their investment was barely a tenth of that. So with that being said, this means they didn't have to find a lead generation specialist. They didn't have to have a copywriter. They didn't have to have a sales rep managing the whole thing. There were several parts of this process that used to be manual that required employees. Now those employees are free to work on higher leverage opportunities while the system runs and generates leads on autopilot. And I'm going to show you the exact build that we did. I'm going to walk you through step by step so that you can replicate it and build it in Clay for yourself if you'd like. And before I jump in, if you are a business owner and you want to add AI to your business, book a call with me. The link is in the description. I'll give you a free audit of your business, tell you what's possible and tell you what's not possible. If you're not a business owner, this is still going to be a very valuable video for you because you might be able to build this Clay workflow to make your own process in your job more efficient. So I'm excited to dive into this. And with that said, let's go ahead and rock and roll. So we're going to use Clay AI, clay.com. Clay is an unbelievable tool. It's very intimidating when you first start out because there's a lot you can do with it. In my opinion, let me take a step back. In my opinion, when it comes to AI tools over the next decade, I'm betting big time on Clay. N8N is a big potential as well, but Clay, I'm telling you, keep your eye on them because they're really doing special things in the space. So there was a couple different parts of this build that I want to highlight for you. First part is that this customer used HubSpot inside of their CRM. Well, that is their CRM. And so we needed to make sure that any leads that we pull in this new automation are not going to be inside of HubSpot. And if they are, we need to suppress them. That's important context as we get into this build. So with that being said, table 1 is going to be where the magic starts. Let me just make sure that you guys can see this. You can't see it at all. Why can't you see that? Okay, here we go. So table 1, I'm just going to, there we go. Cool. Let me zoom in a little bit just so it's easy for you guys to see. All right, fantastic. So starting out with this build. So here's what we got. The client of ours, they work with businesses that are doing exhibitions. So I don't want to disclose too much, but yeah, basically they're looking for companies that are at expos. So think of like Dreamforce, for example. If a customer is at Dreamforce, this client will work with them. So the first thing we have is just basically inputting the list. So in their use case, they would get a list of companies that are going to these expos. You can extrapolate this out for how this would work for your own business or your own job. But essentially you need some data starting point. The starting point is what kicks off the entire automation. So basically what we do is, in this particular build, we paste the expo names in there. Now, you could also do a list from Apollo or a list from SalesNav. So it doesn't have to be like an event. It could be just a list. And once that list is created and is dropped in there, all you have to do is you go to Actions and then import from CSV. That's literally all you have to do. It's very, very easy. Okay? So let's go ahead and get back over here. Now, input company name, blah, 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 blah. Then we go to step 1, which is find the domain in Google. So this is just a simple Google search. And all we're doing here is just, if you can see the logic, let me make sure you guys can see the logic here. All we're doing here is simply finding a domain based on the input. So the input is the company name and the Google search AI is going to run. And it's basically just going to pull the domains of the companies that we have. Okay. So then from there, what it's going to do is it's just going to normalize the domain. So that's, basically what it is this is find domain from company name, normalize it and put it into domain. So from there, what we're going to do is we're going to go into step 2, find the company URL. And we're using Claygent for this because Claygent is pretty incredible. And I want you to see the prompt that we created here as well. So you are an expert web researcher tasked with finding the official LinkedIn company page URL for a business, given its name and domain. Objective, find the LinkedIn company page URL for the company, input company name. You basically just have to make sure you're mapping it to the correct parts of the equation. Search LinkedIn for a company page that matches the provided company name and domain. If no direct match is found, use Google to search for input company name. So we're basically just backing up and making sure that we're all validated here, right? And pretty straightforward stuff, but this is the prompt for the Clayagent. We're using Claude 4.5 Haiku because it is an incredibly efficient model, and it's very fast, and it's very cheap, relatively speaking, as well. So yeah, that's what we're doing there. And so Clayagent, if you're not familiar, what Clayagent is and the way that it works is it's essentially an actual AI agent. So Clayagent, you can give instructions and it will go find it for you. It's not an automation per se. You have to prompt it correctly. And if you do, it has the ability to go and find whatever information you need. And it's very, very impressive how well it works. Okay, so from here, we go to LinkedIn Company. And so once the LinkedIn company is normalized from the Clayagent, it simply just goes right into this column right here. And then what we do is we have a true and false condition pop up. So if there is no LinkedIn company page found, it is marked true. And if there is a company page found, it is linked false. The logic inside of Clay can be kind of confusing, but it's really important to understand or else your flow will get messed up. You have to have the logic correct if you want to be able to get the results that you need. So from here, what we do is send the LinkedIn URL to Apollo. When we're enriching with Apollo, all we do is if it is marked false, if the condition is false, we have it send through the Apollo step. So it's going to use the LinkedIn URLs and it's going to try to find the company URL, it's in URLs of both Apollo and Clayagent all in here. And we have the final LinkedIn URL placed in here. And you can just open up that and you can just see, it's just simply pasting the URL. From there, what we need to do is we need to suppress inside of HubSpot. So what we did is we created a list inside of HubSpot called Do Not Contact. And if that Do Not Contact list has anyone in there, like I showed you from step 1, it will essentially make sure that we don't reach out to them and the rest of their steps don't go through. So this is where the true and false condition comes in. So if it is true, it is suppressed. And if it's suppressed, then it doesn't run in the rest of the system. So this is really important if you have a lot of leads and you want to make sure that you don't reach out to someone you're actively talking to or a previous customer, etc. Step 5 is where it gets real good. So we need to enrich people at company name. And so the way that we're going to do that is we're going to create job titles for who we think we want to target. In this particular case, it's decision makers, marketing managers, things of that nature. And if you can decide on your ICP and you know your ICP, you simply put it in there. We have a limit set to find 3 people per company. You could do more, but it's going to be pretty credit intensive. It's going to use a lot of your credits. And that's what's going to run. So step 6, we're using ChatGPT logic. We're using 4.0 mini. You need to perform a simple Boolean check based on whether people are found in a specified column value. So evaluate whether people are found in step 5, which is the step that we were just looking at. Read the input value from step 5. Determine if people are found in this value. So if people are found, return true. If people are not found, return false. Output only the Boolean literal true or false without any additional text. So basically what we're saying here is you need to tell us if you're able to find people or not. If you are able to find people, then it will send to the next step, which is the people found Boolean result. Now, this is all we had built at first, but the customer came back and they said, hey, this is great, but we're only finding, maybe a third of the people that are going to these exhibitions and we really want to ramp it up. And we said, we can do that, but it's going to cost you a lot of credits. And they said, we don't care. We want to reach all of them. And I said, okay, no problem. Let's do it. So what we did from there is we created a waterfall. If you've ever used Clay, you're very, very familiar with waterfalls. And this thing is an absolute beast. So in the waterfall, we're using several different places to go find these people. We're using the same criteria and keywords. And yeah, we're essentially just making sure that it pulls. So what this is going to do is, after this has been ran, we're going to run this waterfall. And we're going to click this custom waterfall, and it's going to let it absolutely rip. What I found is that, we were pulling lists of probably anywhere from 500 to 5,000 people, and it was capturing about 98% of everyone that we were looking to capture. So it was wildly efficient and wildly effective. And this waterfall is really the key to that. Now, obviously it's using a little bit more credits, but when you're talking about the kind of revenue this company wants to do, it's necessary and it's worth it. So by now what we have is you'll have hundreds, maybe even thousands of rows between the Apollo and the waterfall. And then what we do is we just need to send this data. So we had two different tables. We had an Apollo table and we had a waterfall table. We send the Apollo leads to table 2 and the waterfall leads to table 2A. So let's go ahead and look into table 2 and let's see what that's looking like. So you'll see at the beginning, we have the, kind of the same inputs. This is just getting ported over from the table that we were just in. And then where it really starts to get good is we'll start to enrich the actual individuals. So we enriched all the companies in table 1. Now we're enriching people inside of table 2 and table 2A. So let's take a look here and see what this waterfall is looking like. So we're using more enrichments. Lead Magic is number 1. I highly recommend Lead Magic. It's by far the most effective enrichment tool. It's also expensive, but it's very, very good. And we're making sure we find full name, company domain, their LinkedIn URL, and their company name, okay? So step 2 is the exhibition research. Once again, we're using Claude 4.5 Haiku, fantastic model. So you're an exhibitor research specialist. Your job is to research the company in detail and identify specific variable data points that can be used as a personalized first-line hook in a cold email. These data points could come from case studies or success stories, previous exhibitions or trade shows, partnerships, awards, or collaborations, product launches, blah, blah, blah. I won't read the whole thing. But basically, it needs to be very, very concise or very, very detailed. And each data point should be one sentence written in a tone suitable for cold email personalization. That's going to come into play here in a minute. So from here, and before we go on, let's just check out table 2A, just so I can show you. Very similar build, very similar logic in here, using the same waterfall to enrich the people's information. This one is incredibly in-depth waterfall. I mean, we're finding everyone in here, basically. So once again, we have the step 2 exhibition research. We've already done all of that. And then basically what's going to happen is the research is going to pop out. It's going to show research about who the company is, what the exhibition's about, and that's where we get our email opener. So in our email opener, you're an expert cold email copywriter. Write a 1-line personalized opener followed by a contextual second line. So that's where we have the exhibit name, the company, and we have case studies as well. So we preloaded case studies from the company into here. Analyze these case studies and choose one that best relates to company's business or expo. Write a short, natural 1-line opener referencing the selected case study. If the case study mentions a past expo, you can reference it naturally. Then write a second line after one space. So basically what we're doing is we're prompting it about how to write our openers. And then we give it an example as well for the kind of opener that we'd want to use. All right. So then what we're going to do is we have our opener already selected. You can see it there. And then we have our subject. So we need to write a subject line. So basically what we have to do there is, once again, we just have to prompt it. And we have to say, hey, this is how, and I would recommend using Claude or GPT to help write these prompts and use the web search function so it can reference Clayagent's documentation and help you write the best emails possible. But basically we're prompting for the email opener, for the subject, and for the body. Now, what is not in here, what we do next is we go to add instantly. Once you have instantly connected to your account via API, all you have to do is go to campaign ID. So you create the campaign in instantly, and then you would select the dropdown. I won't do it because I don't want to disclose any proprietary information. And you just choose what email you want to use, or from this step, which is, in here it's step 1, which is the work email. And then you simply just add it to the campaign, and it's going to auto import it into instantly. And you've got your emails ready to rock, basically. So you have leads automatically scraped. You have personalizations written in the form of subject lines, openers, and the body email. In this case, we're doing the entire email. You could just do personalization at the front and then add in whatever you want on the back end inside of Instantly or Smart Lead, whatever you're using. So this is an end-to-end automation. Now, I ran through this pretty quickly, only 16 minutes, but it was a very intensive build and it took a lot of time and logic and thinking. And the best advice I could give you is you need to wireframe this before you're building it. You need to think about where are we starting and where are we finishing, and what are all the different inputs that we need. So for example, we need the company's domain, but we also need to get the company's URL. But then we need to find individuals within the company. So we need to decide, which parts of the company are we going after? Is it decision makers? Is it managers? What does that look like? And you have to think through all of these things if you want to build it from A to Z. This is going to absolutely print for this client. I literally think they might make $500,000 to $1 million over the next 12 months using this system. I actually am pretty confident they will. And they're doing it without having to add bandwidth. As a matter of fact, if they wanted to, they could cut back on their workforce. But instead, they're going to leverage the employees that were doing all this for higher leverage opportunities. This is where AI really shines. It makes a business more efficient, more effective, and gets a much better return on investment. So I'm pretty proud of this build. It's very, very intensive. It's very in-depth. It's going to serve this client well. Like I said to you, if you're interested in learning more about AI, you could either join my school community, or you can simply just book a call, and I'm happy to run through it with your business, give you a free audit, whatever the case might be. But if this video was helpful, please leave a comment. Please like and subscribe. I'd love to answer any questions you might have about AI. Even if you have a job, let me know how I can help you out. But this has been an in-depth Clay build from Integri. That's my business. Integrate AI into your business, life, etc. And I'll see you guys in the next one.